results of our investigation from our Hunt a Killer box, Class of 98, Episode 1. So we will have a lot of spoilers. If you haven't went through the box yet, don't watch this video until after you've went through the box and concluded with your own investigation. So, Donnie, I wanted him to be here to do this, but he's been so busy with work. He owns a IT company, so he repairs computers, managed IT services, he installs security cameras. He has a lot of things he has to do this week, so he cannot be here to record with me. So I'm going to go ahead and share the results of our investigation so far, because we will be getting 5 more boxes. The setting is Chestnut Falls. These people went to Chestnut Falls High School, and basically Michelle Gray is the private investigator. She lives in Chicago. She went to school with the victim and all of the suspects. She was not really friends with, but friendly with the victim, Charlie McDonough. Let's take a look at his high school yearbook photo. He was the victim. He was killed on the night of their high school reunion. And we have several suspects. The first suspect is the victim's wife, who he met in college, and obviously she lives in Chestnut Falls still. The only evidence we have so far regarding her is this affidavit for search waiver. So we don't really have a lot of information on her. The next suspect who went to high school with him is Antonio Villar. He's a record shop owner. And let me show you a picture of him from high school. Okay, here's this guy, Antonio Villar. He signed the yearbook here, right there, as Thorn. And do we have his statement yet? I'm thinking that we do. So Antonio Villar's witness statement here. It is the last one in the file. It says, I left home for the reunion at about 5:45 p.m. I told Luis, my son, I would be home late because I planned to meet up with old friends at Dimitri's Taverna afterward. I saw Charlie at the reunion, but we didn't talk as much because we had seen each other earlier that day at the pharmacy. I left the reunion about 9, maybe a little after. I was in the parking lot for a bit. I thought I saw Charlie drive off with someone, but I don't know for sure. I arrived at the diner too early. I was the first one there. I wanted to catch up more with everyone before I brought souvlaki home for Luis, but even Artie didn't show up for a while. Then I found out Charlie was dead. I don't know anything else. I'm sorry. That's the second suspect. The third suspect we have is Arthur Artie Hughes. Sorry. He's a high school history teacher, and in the yearbook it says that he played the lead in the school play the year before Charlie got the lead in Grease. So here is Charlie getting the lead in Grease. So, further on in the yearbook, when Artie there's a picture of him. Signs the yearbook. He talks about wanting to be on Broadway. So could he be jealous? I don't know. We'll have to see. I apologize for my phone dinging. Let me take care of that. Sorry folks, I had to take care of my phone real quick. Okay, so let's move on to Susan Sean Lee. So our next suspect is named Susan Lee now, and she's a veterinarian. But in high school, she was known as Sean Lee. So she's obviously transgender, and that may play into the case more as we go along with more boxes. Let me find, oh, here it is. So here is his signature in the yearbook. It's in the green lettering. And I didn't really notice much about him in the yearbook, but Susan does give a witness statement, and yes, it's the one that's out of order. So I noticed that the witness statements were out of order. I don't know if it has anything to do with the case, but Susan Lee's statement is labeled page 1, and as you can see, I got the case file with the witness statements out of order. It goes 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, and Susan Lee's is the one that's out of order. So she says that she arrived at the reunion at 6 and saw Charlie briefly. Later in the night, she spoke to Aura about a lawsuit that she's currently involved in. And the convo left her with some serious questions about the process, so she decided to leave the reunion early, about 8:40, and drove to her office at the vet clinic to look over some documents her lawyer had sent her. Then around 9:10, she called her lawyer and spoke for about a half hour. After that, she called Aura to ask for more legal advice, but she didn't pick up. That was about 9:45, and then she left her office and paced around the clinic for a while, thinking she should try to call Aura again soon, and planned to meet up with their friend group at Dimitri's at 10, but wasn't in the mood at that point. It wasn't until later that night that she had heard what happened to Charlie. So here is a map of Chestnut Falls. Okay, so the high school, let me see, is at Q, way up here. And Charlie was murdered here at what they call the Grove. Now the veterinary clinic is at this building here at letter V. So that's some interesting stuff that may play into the case. I don't know, we'll see as we get more details. The next person is Nicholas Matsoukas. He's a neuroscientist, and he was chem partners with Charlie in high school. Let's see. I think that is the signature from Charlie's yearbook of Nicholas's, and here is a picture of him. right here. So, he is also a suspect. A neuroscientist, chem partners with Charlie. Robin Dupree is a farmer, and she was Charlie's high school girlfriend. Here is her yearbook picture. And as you can see, it says, "Dreams last so long, even after you're gone, Jewel." I noticed, I don't know if it's intentional, if it's going to play into the case, but the word "for" is missing from the lyrics. It's supposed to be "Dreams last for so long." So I found that interesting. This is Charlie's girlfriend from high school. Here is her signature in the yearbook. Okay, so those were all the suspects who live in town, inside of Chestnut Falls. So we're going to go on to the suspects who live out of town. The first suspect who lives out of town is Aura McBride. She is a lawyer and Charlie's cousin. Okay, here is her signature in the yearbook. Aura McBride. Oh, there's her picture. So, when you go into the case file, I believe she's like the first witness statement, Aura McBride. She explains that she's actually the one who found Charlie at the Grove. She moved away from town after college. It was the first time she'd seen her cousin in a couple of years. She lost track of him at some point, but they were all going to meet up at Dimitri's at 10 during the high school reunion, so she thought she'd see him later. She volunteered to help Artie clean up after the reunion ended. She took care of the gym, and he cleaned the cafeteria across the hall. I forgot to mention that he also had a witness statement in here. Arthur Hughes. So she was on her way about 10:15 and saw headlights shining just off Willow Lane. It looked like someone had parked at the Grove. She thought it might be someone she knew, since that was a popular place to hang out when they were teens. So she parked on the side of Willow Lane and walked over to the car, and she recognized it as Charlie's. The passenger's side door was wide open. She saw Charlie leaning back against the driver's seat, his head tilted at a weird angle. She thought he might have been sleeping, but he didn't respond when she tapped on the window. The driver's side door was unlocked, so she opened it and shook him, but still no response. He was pale and had bruises around his neck. She checked his pulse, and there was nothing. So she called 911 at 10:17. I put everything from the witness statements into a timeline. They give you a timeline within the case file, but I kind of wrote it out on a piece of paper just to give me some more room to organize it in the way I would like to. So, I do have to say, and this is a big spoiler, if you haven't finished the box, please stop watching now. But from the evidence that's online and the timeline and all of the other information, we were able to eliminate Aura as a suspect at this time. Nita Patel, she's a freelance journalist, and she went to the same college as Charlie, UC, which you can see in her signature. Where is it? Nita Patel. Oh, here it is. So, she writes in the yearbook that they're both going to UC. So they went to the same college. And that college is where Charlie had met his current wife. So I thought that may be important. I'm not sure. I did want to mention it though. And here's her yearbook photo. So, Nita Patel wrote an article. She is a freelance journalist. It was included in the case file. And it seems hostile toward Michelle Gray. So I thought that was interesting. I wonder if she was jealous of her for some reason or something of that nature. But it seemed hostile toward the private investigator of this case. And next we have Gavin Nash. He's a plastic surgeon. In the yearbook, it explains that he was top 10 in the county for basketball. And online, there's some evidence about him. Here he is. That shows that he got into trouble in high school. There were disciplinary forms. One of the disciplinary forms online stated that Gavin picked on a smaller kid, and that him and Charlie got into trouble together for what appears to be a prank. So I thought that may play into the case later as well. There's his yearbook photo. And then there's this big red signature in the yearbook. So let's move on from that. We don't know much more about him at this point. One of the pieces of evidence is this beer koozie. And I think that there are little white flecks inside there. I don't know if you can see them. But I do believe there's little white flecks inside there. Whereas if you shine it on here, you don't see any little white flecks. So I thought that may be a clue. I told you about the witness statements being out of order. And in the yearbook, let me get that out real quick. Charlie played the lead in Grease, which I've already mentioned, and it was opposite Jessica Johnson as Sandra Dee. It stated that they made an attractive couple. So I thought maybe that may have something to do with some jealousy issues going on. The last thing I found in the yearbook that I find to be very important, well, the second to last thing that I find to be very important is we got a black light with our kit. And I don't know if you can see. I will try. But it states, only when you shine the black light on it, I'll keep the biz running while you're away. Wow, that's a huge clue. So, I found that after actually I shined the light on everything else. That was the last thing, the last page in the yearbook. I found it last, but I also noticed that a picture of Heather Rhodes getting ready to run on this page, well, that is much different than this page. It's a different person. There's Heather Rhodes in the yearbook, her yearbook photo. So I thought that may play into the case later, even though she's not a suspect or anything. At the crime scene, it's called the Grove. The victim was inside the car, and I think I mentioned that when I read Aura's witness statement. And the passenger side door to the car was open. The interior light and headlights were on. The keys were in the ignition. There were footprints in the gravel leading away from the car at large strides. And the medical examiner's notes, which are right here at the bottom of the cover page, the detailed summary of the crime scene investigation. It says strangulation without ligature, marks on neck, petechiae and whites of eyes, probable damage to Legionus rings of the trachea, and cause of death, likely asphyxiation from crushed closed airway. But they have not done the autopsy yet. Now, on this map, as you can see, the high school is way up here. So this guy, he was murdered way down here, right? There's the veterinary clinic. And then what I thought was also interesting, like, why are people driving around all these places, is that Dimitri's Taverna is up here. So it's very close to the high school. Why are people driving all the way down here? Like, why was he there? So, that wraps up everything I've seen, and I hope that the next time I see you in regards to like the episode 2 box, that Donnie is able to be here with me, because we did this together. It's really fun to do together as a couple. I really love it. I hope to see you guys soon. Right now, update for the family, as I'm like, I read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, so I'm kind of KonMarieing my house, and I'm reading a lot of books. I hope at the end of February to have a video for you guys talking about some of the great books I've read this month. I'm on to Lizzie's Story. It's by Stephen King. I'm about halfway through that, and it's really interesting. I don't know if I'll put that in the video, but it is a very interesting read. I'm kind of confused by it at this point, and I'm just going to see where it's taking me. Excuse me. So, I will see you guys next time, and peace out.